Hello, America.
Hi, America.
Welcome to Angel and the Wiz. And I hope you know who is who, because otherwise you're watching the wrong show. For those of you who are watching us in New York City, Wednesday, February 20th, 2013, today was the most important day of my life after being born. On this day, 64 years, that's okay. On this day,
okay.
64 years ago, I was adopted by two wonderful people. And this is why I say the good Lord watched out for me prior to arrival. Because when I got here, 13 weeks later, I was in the arms of my mom. Now, she had already had 4 stillborn births. Okay, so to suggest that I was loved or I was wanted is like saying the sky is blue on a sunny day. Okay, I mean, I was cherished. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, I was at least 50 before I ever found out I was spoiled. I thought that's how I thought. Really, I'm telling you, I always thought that's how it was. That's how life was. You know, and it took me a long time to realize that. But I just want to say, and I know some of my friends who are adopted too, and they feel special. And I just want you to know that I loved my mom and dad. People are always asking me, well, did you ever want to find out who your biological mother was? And, you know, it never came up. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? I know who my mother is. That's my mom. Okay? And whether she carried me for 9 months or not, you know, I always like to think I was Bing Crosby's illegitimate child because I had my ears were like him. Then they put him back so that they wouldn't look like him, and I got his pipes. None of his kids got his pipes. Okay, I got the throat.
Wouldn't that be?
Would that be cool?
Yeah.
But in other words, but it never mattered to me, and I always felt such an incredible loyalty to them that it just never came up. And I'm really glad nobody tried to find me either, because I don't need that in my life. You know what I mean? My dedication to my mom and dad and them to me was like, you know, it was just one of those things. And I got to tell you, there's a beautiful story about how it all went down. And my mom had told to me a few times, my mother had a problem and was passed away in a month. I never had a chance, because I never ever thought she was leaving and she wouldn't be able to tell me it again. I never had a chance to have her tell it to me on camera so that I could play it. But I think roughly what was happening was they had been trying to adopt a child, and she had taken my grandmother to the hospital, to this doctor, and while she was in the office, she was sitting there and she was reading a story about it. And the doctor came out and says, "Oh, you're interested in that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I might have somebody." Just like, duh, duh, duh. That's what I'm saying. That's the Lord's fingerprints all over something. You know, that magazine just happened to be there. Right. Okay what I mean? Okay. So, you know, if you know what I'm saying. And she was a great mom. And I can tell you to this day, I know exactly where we were, and I can remember it. She sat in the car, she was sitting there, I was sitting here, and she was explaining to me about being adopted. And not to feel, now I was 7 or 8 years old. I was old enough to understand and young enough not to care. You know, because after this we were going to go out to dinner. We always celebrated our anniversary. And I didn't know what it was like. It was our anniversary. I got a present, we went to dinner, stuff like that. So when
you get a present, you go to dinner, life is great. That's
right. And so at 8 years old, your real focus is, are you telling me this story because the present's going to stop? You know, really. Now, I'm not saying I was thinking that, because what happened was she's trying to tell me and she starts crying and I'm over here and I'm all, you know, God, you know, it takes nothing to set me off.
I still get my present.
You know, you're right. I know. No, I don't think I consciously thought of it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you were young enough to understand, you were old enough to understand, but young enough not to care, as long as nothing was disrupted. And she was told me that my folks had passed away in an automobile accident and all that stuff, which fits very nicely into the Da Vinci Code. We won't go there. Okay? But it's like, and she didn't want me to feel, she says, you know, when parents have children, it's because they have children. You were adopted, you were chosen. You know, she didn't want me to feel less, I guess, because I was adopted and not just had. But I was so much, and that's what when she took me to the doctor the first time, she even had trouble holding me. She was just, as scared, I think my aunt gave me my first bath. She was, you come over and do it, okay? She wanted to drop, I don't know. But when she went to Dr. Kabnick was the physician, the pediatrician, and after he checked me out, he told her all he needs is love, okay? And I had love. I had love my whole life from my parents. I was so prepared to take care of them. I was so prepared to take care of my mom. She never got out of the hospital. I took care of my dad for 2 years. I can remember my father sitting in the chair after my mom passed away. Now, my father lost his mother at a very young age. My mom filled something really important in his life. The night before she went to the hospital, he said, promise me you won't die before me, okay? And she died on his birthday. I mean, it was absolutely, it was just the whole thing. And he didn't want to live. He even told me, it makes me feel, you really love me, huh, Dad? And you don't want to live anymore. But yeah, I understand. You understand.
Oh, I get it. I've seen it with my grandparents.
He just didn't. He didn't want to live anymore. And actually, he started wasting away. We had to take care of him. We had to take him have him go to the psychiatric ward for a while in the local hospital, so they could kind of build him back up. But he just, so I think it was just like 2 years later, he was gone because his life.
His reason for living
was
gone.
First he had lost his mom at a young age, and then he lost my mom, so it was really tough. So 2 sets of parents now. Okay, there won't be a third. But although I will say that Tina's mom and dad have been very nice to me, and I can't call him mom and dad. I can't do it. I call him Mother Rayner. That I can do, Mother Rain I can do, but you have such a bond. And I was an only child. Okay, I was adopted, and my mom got pregnant right before, I guess it must have been 8 or 9. Anyway, not too long after that, and she really wanted that child because she wanted me to have a brother or sister. Okay, and when she lost that child too, okay, my dad told me. And we had they have kids' picnic tables, and we had that outside. So I must have been out there, and I must have been crying, because, I'm there, and how kids cry, and their shoulders coming down. So my mom calls, so she's talking to my father on the phone, and she asks, how am I doing? What a turkey my old man was. He says, well, it looks like he's crying out there, and his shoulders are going down. They had to sedate her. She went, she went hysterical. It broke her heart. She was just, my dad, what a turkey. But he told her the truth, you know what I mean? And so anyway, for those I guess what I'm trying to say is I loved my parents with all my heart. They loved me back with all of theirs. They weren't perfect. Neither was I. Okay, don't tell that to my dad. He was convinced he was perfect. But the point that I'm trying to make, if any of you that are watching this show today are adopted, consider yourself blessed, because people really wanted you enough to take you in and love you and take care of you and try and give you what they could give you. And you should never resent them. You should never think that you're any less. You should never, there should be nothing negative. You were adopted. Somebody wanted you that much that they went to get you. So do the best you can for them, because they put their heart and their soul, and they risked so much just to bring you into that life. So cherish them and love them and all that stuff there. So
speaking about your father, my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago. And my grandfather, I really want to videotape conversations with him. He
do it while you can, man.
He remembered, how long were you and Grandma together? And he can tell you down to the minute, practically. He tells you down to the day. And it's been a bit of a struggle with him, at least the first, about the first 6 months. And it was things like...
Is it recent?
It was 3 years ago that she passed.
Okay.
And we would have to, my mom would go over, we'd have to drag him to the men's club, you know,
Right.
because he used to do a whole bunch of things
And
with
he
the
stopped.
church, and then he stopped because my grandmother got really ill and he had to take care of her.
Right.
And then, you know, he now that he kind of lost a purpose, you know, because
that's what he was wrapped up in.
Yeah,
Right.
and so he and my mom kind of lost a little bit of a purpose too, because my grandmother, she was taking care of my grandmother. My grandmother passed away, and then she was helping my sister plan her wedding, and then that was
Right.
that finished, and then she was kind of like this lost little soul that she all of a sudden called up, and she's like, "I'm coming to visit you," and I'm like, "What?" But anyway, it's another story. Anyway, so my grandfather's been a little bit lost, you know, and now he's found his way. I don't really know what he, you know, but he does go to the men's club. He kind of helps things out. He'll buy food. He still buys food for my parents, even though they don't need it.
Right.
And it just gets to the point where they just take it. You know, don't say no. They just take it.
No. You just
So.
because it's kind of like, you know.
My grandmother on the other side of the family. My grandfather had passed away when I was 16. So 16 years ago, he passed away.
Right.
And they still think, my dad every once in a while says, I still think she's pissed off at him for dying. Like, she's just like, once he passed away, and she just became this cranky old woman. Like, you know, those stereotypes.
For those of you who watch the show on a regular basis, you know that periodically I have opinions about stuff. And, you know. And
Periodically?
periodically. And so Angel finally said to me, "Why don't you run for president?" And I thought, no, I don't want to do that because, A, I could never get elected. But let me just tell you something. Journalists, the media, they would have so much fun with a guy like me because I have lived my life. I wasn't just a politician, man. I've done everything you can imagine. So anyway,
I had mentioned it to you, but
she had mentioned it to me.
But other people convinced you. It wasn't me convinced. I just said, "Why don't you do it?" And you said, "I think I put the thought in your head," but you said some other people really pushed you into.
You know, I don't remember that, but I could.
Maybe you just let it
she said
fester.
she said she was going to make a logo for me.
I did.
And she did. I don't know if you can see it back there because I'm kind of in the way of it. But here it is. Here's the slide of it. Okay, and you saw the slide. And so now every week now, when we go into the campaign, we'll have the little American flag and a little thing goes by and everything else. And I thought, because
got his manifesto.
I had 20 points. Now, what I assumed was, as the person that represents the other side, kind of.
No,
I'm only teasing.
We said you would run as an independent.
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
as an independent. Yes, I'm not even telling any people anymore that I'm a Republican. I'm an independent. I am independent of everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the point that I wanted to try and make was, I will look forward to you posing questions as you want to over the next 4 years of shows, and I will answer the questions as
Okay.
I would as a presidential candidate, and you can beat me up or agree or tell me why I'm wrong. Okay. So
are you going to read all 20 of these?
why? I guess I'm going to. Why do you want to? Do you want to do some of them?
There's only one I want to point
Well,
out.
just
There's
point it out when we
only
get there.
one.
Okay. Okay.
Now, are you reading and elaborating, or are you just reading?
No, I'm just going to read.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Because I want to just go down through them.
These are topics that will probably be discussed within the next
Ad infinitum.
20 weeks or
Okay.
so. Okay.
This is an official Whiz for President document. Okay. This is campaign. These are my campaign ideas and my commitments. Now, rest assured, I am never going to be elected president, so it's totally safe for me to say these things, because I want you to know, if there was any chance that I even got close to being elected, I'd wind up in Dealey Plaza. Okay. They are never going to let a guy like me have control. Never. Because I don't care about their stuff, and they want somebody that they can control.
Okay. So you're reading them. There's no elaboration.
No. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to go straight through them, and we can elaborate over the weeks. You know. Okay. And then if you want, let me read them all, and then you show me the one that you have an issue with, and we can talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see what it's 15. Okay. Here we go.
Number
Here they
one.
go. Number one. Instead of czars, I will have limited commissions to make suggestions on how to deal with problems. Number two, we will deal with all problems in ways that are best for the country, America. No more racial or ethnic divisions. We are all Americans. Those unhappy with this can move anywhere they would like. We will strive to help all people participate in the American dream. Okay? Americans do not seek handouts. They seek assistance to be free of handouts. All our actions will be guided by that principle. Public sector unions will not be allowed to negotiate with anyone they provide money to. In any case where they do, representatives of the people, not politicians, will have to agree to any contract. No one who benefits from any union contract will be allowed to negotiate without a representative of the American people. Public sector unions shall collect their own dues. 7. As president, I will meet with a Democrat and a Republican from each house once a week, every week. Oh, yeah, yes, there's a couple little things I've changed. Okay, but not much, just like tenses and stuff like that. As president, this is number 7. As president, I will meet with a Democrat and a Republican from each house, Senate and House, once a week, every week that I am in office.
Can I see your pen?
Yes, ma'am. I can reprint. I can give you a good one.
Oh, no.
I sent it to you anyway. I sent you a finished one. 8. I will take no vacations of any length that prevent me from doing my job. 9. I will pay for all my personal vacation expenses myself. 10. As a part of my job, I will meet with the governors of all the states on a monthly basis in groups to be worked out. Meaning, you know, maybe 26 every other week.
50,
right,
all
no,
50
you can't accomplish anything that way, right? Okay. 11. I will make no executive order that is not explained to the people beforehand. 12. I will set a commission to review all regulations passed within the last 8 years and remove those that harm manufacturing or the people. And I would go so far to say, I don't want to extrapolate out, that I would also be open to review any executive orders from any president at...
Wait.
This is 12.
12. So you're talking about commissions or executive orders?
Regulations.
Regulations.
In other words, I will set up a commission
to
review all regulations passed.
Laws and executive orders.
No, regulations.
Okay.
This is when
so what's
the EPA decides that you can't have...
So what's the difference between a regulation and an executive order?
An executive order is something done exclusively and alone by the president.
Don't you have...
And it only affects the executive... It only affects the executive branch that he controls.
Okay.
Okay? Whereas regulations affect us.
Okay.
Okay? Here we go. 13. I will not support any divisive regulations that make life for American people harder. Okay? I would have built the pipeline. Okay? I am committed to moving as many people from unemployment insurance to work as possible. Americans work for what they get. And that's what makes true Americans the great people that they are. We've always had a great work ethic. We've always worked hard. We've always strived to get ahead. Okay? I will use or install, and I mean this one, I will use or install cameras in the Oval Office and conference rooms and make that live feed available on the web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That means you're going to get sometimes, you're going to see people cleaning the office, you're going to get to see empty office, nothing happening, and when stuff is going on, there should be nothing happening in that office that cannot be seen by the people. That's a fact. Okay. 1. Why?
16.
16. I will protect and defend the Constitution and the ideals that the founders stood behind. Okay? 17. I will meet with the press corps every other Friday afternoon. Are you kidding me? I love that stuff. You know what I mean? Sure. You want me to come on? Let's hang out. Okay. I will only travel with a full complement of staff when it's absolutely necessary and will accept the idea that I am working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You get this job, you got it for 4 years, you do it every day. You're not worried about going to Hawaii, or you're not worried about the West Coast or whatever. Okay, 19. All financial assistance will require some type of service for that financial service based on the ability of the receiver to be able to do something. I mean, even if you're just folding towels, listen, you know what I mean? There's always something that we can do. I will not pretend to know everything, but I will surround myself with people who have specific knowledge on required topics. So those are my 20 promises.
So those are the 20 things, and I've circled 1, 2, 5 on here that I just wanted to comment on.
Sure.
The 5th one about do not seek handouts, Americans do not seek handouts, they seek assistance to be free of handouts, and all our actions will be guided by that principle.
Right.
I really liked that comment.
Really?
I really did. Yeah, I thought that just, it was perfect.
Huh?
Number 12, setting up a commission.
Something is coming. Okay.
No, setting up a commission to review all regulations passed within the last 8 years. Now, my only issue is because you only put a timeline of the last 8 years.
That's why I expanded.
Which means that I feel that you feel that only regulations passed within the last 8 years are probably wrong. But I think you need to, especially when you talk about...
Well, no, that's why I expanded it.
When you talk about manufacturing... No, even on the final document it says 8 years.
No, but that's why I'm just saying it right now. I realized as I read that, I want to open-end it.
I think you need to, I think it needs to go back.
I think we should just review them all.
Maybe even to the Reagan era and because... especially because you talk about manufacturing,
right? And
the people you have to think about, especially on the manufacturing side. Right. There's been technology changing,
right?
And that technology changes mean that you have to implement new regulations, right. But that doesn't mean that
you have to strangle them.
Well, no, it doesn't. What happens with new technology is that people forget that with new technology comes new regulations, but then they also try and keep the old regulations, and that there's conflict.
Yes.
So I think you have to extend farther than 8 years because you can't...
Which number is that?
Number 12. Because then what I felt like is that you were saying only decisions made in the last 8 years by Obama, who you despise, is,
Princess, how could you say such a thing?
Anyway, number 15.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that there are cameras already installed in the Oval Office, but there's not a live feed.
There's not a live feed, and I don't know if they are installed. I don't think they are. I think that's his the inner sanctum. Not his, anybody's.
I think that there are. Anyway, I would maybe say that maybe not 24/7. I don't know. Here's my thing. Here's only my concern. If you have to have a private conversation about so and so with whatever and whatever, people can read lips. And if it's a national security
I expect to have the sound too. I'm having everything.
If it's a national security issue,
right?
I don't know if I would want. I don't think it would be best for some of the crazies that we have in this country, because they exist,
right?
To hear some of that stuff.
I would say we could have national security meetings in the national in the national. We have a place.
Yeah, they'd have
for
to
that.
Go. Yeah, you just have to be very mindful.
But if it's in the Oval Office, I want everybody to always have access to that office. It is their office.
And then number 18, you will only travel with a full complement of staff when absolutely necessary. I don't know what that means.
What that means is I'm not going to take Air Force One to go on holiday and bring all those people with me in other words, what I'm saying is I want to be prudent. I want to be a little bit frugal. And I don't want to bring 75 things, C-15s. It's not necessary to do all that. You don't have to have a motorcade through every town when you go someplace. There are other ways to go. If it's an official visit, a European tour. If it's about business, anytime it's about business, fine. But when it's a vacation or when it's just simple travel, you're going away for the weekend or whatever, which my idea going to the weekend, they got a theater in the place, I'm never going to leave.
Isn't that what Camp David's for?
Yes.
But
some of these guys want Perk City, and they think, I'm President of the United States. Okay, but that's not correct. And I want to make one addendum, too. Just, you want to finish? Because then I want to show something.
I have one more thing, number 19. It said all financial assistance. What do you mean by financial assistance? Because here's my question. I have student loans. Right. So I'm receiving...
You're working.
Loan from the government.
You're working for those. You are already working.
Okay.
I'm talking about financial assistance.
Like
we hand you money, welfare, food stamp, anything. You got to do something for it.
I recommend if they get a welfare check, they get a drug test.
I could do that. I could do that too.
If you
You're
want to be
taking
on
money
welfare,
from us.
You better be squeaky clean.
Or get a job and then get high.
If you're not squeaky, no. If you are getting a check,
no, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do drugs, you got to get a job.
If you have a welfare check, because some people are on welfare and they just started jobs or whatever, if you get a welfare check or if you get food stamps, you need to get a drug test.
You can't be spending that money on booze.
You need to get a drug test.
Okay. Now, what was it? Was there one?
That was it.
That was the one. Was that the one that you want? Remember, you said you had one you wanted to talk about.
It was number 12. That was number 12. Was the only one I had the issue was that you have to expand from 8 years.
And also, I want to expand it another way too, because I will set up a commission to review all the regulations passed within the last 8 years, and I'm going to have to qualify that and remove those that harm manufacturing people, and I'm going to rely more on educating people to what is good and bad, rather than putting laws out to make them do what's good and bad. Because I believe this, and I will add that to number 12. If you've got something that you believe in, you should be able to educate people to do it.
Right.
You should not have to pass a law to tell people to wear seatbelts. You should be able to educate them why it's in their benefit to do it. Same with smoking.
Well, the law... Isn't the seatbelt law is not a federal law? Isn't it a state? It's state by
It
state.
probably is a state, but that's just an example, illustrative example. I.e., we don't want 26. Haha, haha. We're so over. Let me see
That's okay if we're.
We were
over.
supposed to get out at 25:06. Let's get out quick, and I'll
Okay.
do the best I can.
Bye, America.
Bye,
Do
America.
something good every day and
Yeah.
volunteer at your local animal shelter.
All that stuff.
Mwah.
Says it will